We are back again. It's Gerald coming right back at you here. Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4 has come out, and a lot of great reviews are behind it. Also, a lot of great acclaim, great social media word of mouth. Just a lot of great things are talked about when it comes to the latest Spider-Man iteration in the video game world. And there's been a lot of bad there has been a lot of bad Spider-Man games. There's been a lot of okay Spider-Man games, but there really has only been maybe one or two really good Spider-Man games. So how good is this iteration in the Spider-Man series? Well, here to talk to me today is a good friend of mine from the Voice of the Underground podcast. You got to check it out today. That's going to be on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and so many other podcast outlets. Again, it is Voice from the Underground. And here is the star, although don't tell the other guys that. Between you and I, it is my okay. It is my good friend, Mr. TJ Johnson. What's going on, man?
So after that intro, man, how can I not be sitting here gushing? And it's quite all right. You can definitely tell them that you said that I am the star of the show. I don't feel bad about it. I don't have any qualms about saying it. I am the star of the show, and it's okay. It's all right, brother. But it's good to be back on Pop Culture Cosmos. I miss you guys.
We miss you as well. I also enjoy very much every time that I'm on the show, on your guys' show, because it's such a blast. You guys have great opinions on everything in the pop culture, political, news realm. It's such a great show, and people have to definitely check it out. In fact, you're going to have a larger review of Spider-Man for the PS4 on that show, or on your latest show, actually, that's available. You're going to give us some brief little things that you liked about the game here on this show. So my friend, tell me. I've spent a little bit of time with it. It really is enjoyable. I know the web slinging open world atmosphere is something that I know a lot of people have really been hoping for when it comes to Spider-Man. So tell me, my friend, your thoughts on the latest Spider-Man video game for the PlayStation 4.
Well, Gerald, man, you pretty much hit the nail right there on the head. Right out the gate, it feels like what you would imagine a Spider-Man game should feel like. Not what it has felt like the last few iterations. Amazing Spider-Man being the best out of those couple that came out. But it truly feels like a Spider-Man game. Everything from the web swinging to the mechanics. I mean, they've got it down to such a fine-tuned comb that Spider-Man, when he talks, if he's just walking and he's just casually walking and he has his little phone in his mask and he's talking, he just sounds like you and me right now. But if he's web swinging, you can actually hear the exertion in his voice saying the same lines. It's incredible. They actually recorded it twice, so that way you have a standing still Spider-Man conversation versus an exerting energy Spider-Man conversation. And it's that level of detail that is so rare in games based on licenses. Now, granted, we're not talking about a movie license. We're just talking about the Spider-Man license in general. But anytime you get games based on licenses, they try to hit all the major points, but they miss the little details that really make the game come alive. And something like that, to where if you're holding a conversation and you're web swinging and you can hear him physically exerting himself from web swinging, it's another level of immersion that's just absolutely stunning. The fighting is awesome, and it's very Arkham style. So you have your counter button, you have your standard attack button, you have your webbing button and jumping button. So it's all very standard at this point. I think Arkham Asylum really was the one that perfected that combat, and everybody else thus far has kind of piggybacked off of it, changed it up a little bit for their particular character, but it's still generally the same style. The thing that really separates that, though, from Batman's games is Batman's more like a big hulking tank. He's just this big brute, and he's got a very specific, almost like a Krav Maga style of fighting, where it's just, I'm going to do whatever I can to incapacitate you as quickly as possible. As opposed to a Spider-Man, he's much more agile, much more fluid in his movement, much more graceful. He has a little bit more of a capoeira style, where he's doing cartwheels and round offs and different flips to kind of evade. And it's an awesome thing to actually see in motion. And it's just so rare to get that. I could talk on and on about the story. The story is just awesome. You actually you develop feelings for these characters, and the voice acting is top notch. Voice acting is really good. The guy who plays Spider-Man, and I'm not privy to his name, but I think that after people finish this game, everybody's going to want to know who this guy is, but did a fantastic job as Peter Parker Spider-Man. Really nailed that dynamic. The liberties that they've taken with the stories in regards to some of the characters and their origins and how they got to be who they are and where they are in life is just really, really well done as well. They truly took the license, and Insomniac really made this game their own. And I think it just goes to show you what a AAA developer can do when you put the resources, the money, and the love. I think the key part being the love of the property that they're working on, and you can pour that into the title. This really does feel like a love letter to the fans. There's a gazillion suits to choose from, and all of them look spectacular in motion. They look spectacular standing still. It really looks good. And for everybody wondering if you have to wear that suit with the big white spider on your chest, you don't have to, but you're not going to want to take it off, I can assure you, until you get some of the other suits.
Yeah, because there's so many suits to choose from as you earn them along the way.
Correct.
I will say this, that when Marvel approached Insomniac about doing a game for any one of the characters, they were told carte blanche, choose any one of the characters you want to base the game off of. So they actually talked back and forth in regards to what actual character that they wanted to go ahead and pursue, Captain America, Iron Man, whatever. And Spider-Man actually came out on top on that. And you see the fact that there is that love for Spider-Man and the character, that they went into detail. One of the most interesting and well-received aspects of this game is the Peter Parker story in and of itself, the dynamic that's told, because everybody just wanted to focus on Spider-Man, or so they thought. But here is this compelling narrative when it comes to Peter Parker, Mary Jane, and the whole nine yards when it comes to their not only their relationship, but also his relationship with other well-known characters in the Spider-Man universe as well. Tell me a little bit more about that dynamic, because that's something that people weren't actually expecting going in. They were expecting just a very solid open world game, but they got so much more when it comes to the Peter Parker dynamic.
Amen to that. You pretty much nailed it. People bought this game for Spider-Man, and people are going to stick around for Peter Parker. And I think that's such an awesome dichotomy to have, is because you get the aspect of it that you want. You want the web swinging, you want the bad guy beating up, the acrobatics, the feeling of being Spider-Man, soaring through buildings. And there's nothing better than finally getting really good at the web swinging and timing each web swing right to where you're going right over the building at the right time, and the music is hitting a crescendo as you're doing it. They nailed it. They nailed it. This is almost as nailed as Rocksteady and Arkham Asylum. They just nailed it. They just know the property. They nail it. But to speak to the Peter Parker aspect of it, you really develop a true, and that's what I was kind of alluding to before, you really develop a true love for these characters, being able to be in Peter Parker's shoes and understand the trials and tribulation that he's go through on a daily basis by being, yes, a superhero, but not a superhero that's getting paid to be a superhero guy trying to make ends meet out of Queens. So he's still going through the ups and downs of trying to pay bills, not having a job that pays consistently enough. And you get to see the way his interaction is with the world, exactly how he still manages to stay Peter Parker. And I think that's one of the aspects of the Spider-Man character that drew Insomniac to him, is Spider-Man, for as powerful as he is and as awesome and graceful and as super, for lack of a better term, as he is, he's a guy that goes through the same stuff that we go through on a daily basis. So he's not out with $1 million becoming a superhero and all that. He still has rent to pay. He's got light bills due. He has on again, off again relationships with different people at different times. Like, he goes through the same qualms. So I think the way that Insomniac was able to take who Peter Parker is at his core and continue to allow us to feel it as the character, I think it's a real kudos to what they were able to accomplish there on this game. It really is a breath of fresh air, being able to play as Spider-Man in this version of in this game.
It is indeed. Once again, it is TJ Johnson from Voice from the Underground. You got to check out their awesome podcast today on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio.com, also as well Apple Podcasts, and so many other various podcast outlets. One last thing before we go and head on out, my friend. I want to ask you, is there anything that you would fix, tweak, or just really didn't like about a certain aspect of the game? Because obviously we're getting a glowing review here, and for a larger detail and a broader, more, I guess, more enhanced version of this review, you got to check out the latest Voice from the Underground. But if there's any little aspect that you might want to tweak, change, or fix for, let's say, if they do a sequel, which could very well happen because of the fact that this has garnered so much success early on. What are your thoughts on maybe providing Insomniac with some feedback on something they might need to fix going forward?
Oh man, I knew this question was coming, and I really tried. I mean, and we're talking about nitpicking to the utmost. This is absolutely a complete nitpick. Not even close to being indicative of the game having really any major flaws. But if I had to nitpick, I would say that some of the randomized crimes can get a bit repetitive. Unfortunately, that's the nature of anything with open world. You're going to run into a point where you've seen the different scenarios that they have. So it's really tough, and it's a balancing act that they have to do. And I think it's more up to the player to kind of make sure they spread their time out and not do any of one thing too much at one particular point. So I'm not going to go do all the web slinging challenges all at once. I'm not going to go do all of this particular puzzle at once. You spread it out to actually give yourself a day in the life of Spider-Man. But if you have to nitpick, and you got to nitpick something, it would truly just be that after a while you've gone through the same thing a couple of times now, and so you want to maybe do something a little different. But brother, when I tell you that's the most nitpicky thing I could possibly say about Spider-Man, it really is a fantastic game, fantastic voice acting, fantastic cast, fantastic characters, fantastic mechanics, fantastic detail. I would say spectacular, but I feel like that'd be just too maybe too Spider-Man-y of a pun for us right now. But it really is a truly awesome game, and I think I've spent about 20 plus hours with it already. And that's still working a full-time job. I don't know how I pulled that off, and I don't know how my girlfriend still stands me, but it's been an absolute blast, and I can't wait to spend another 20 plus hours with it.
It's amazing. How about that?
I see what you did there.
Anyways, it's been really great to hear that. Yeah, like you said, it's hard for an open world game to try and avoid every single open world trope that's out there, but by almost avoiding almost all of them, it does a great job of trying to provide you with a quality game that's going to last you, like you said, 20-30 hours of very great gameplay. And it looks like it's shaping up to be one of the best games of 2018, which is just a great sign for a lot of people, because I know a lot of people were worried about how this game is going to work out, how this game is going to be. And this could be something that in the final stages of the PlayStation 4, because we get a sense that PlayStation 5 is just around the corner here, that this could be one of the cornerstones for Sony and for the PlayStation 4, at least in the latter stages of the PlayStation 4 life cycle.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. And if this is how they go out, then what a sweet swan song it is.
It is indeed. I tell you what, it's just great to have you talk about it. But if people want in larger detail your thoughts on Spider-Man, the video game for the PlayStation 4, also as well your opinions on not only the news world, the political world, sports, and so much more, check it out today. In fact, pop culture as well. Check it out today. It is Voice from the Underground. It is again on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and a gazillion more podcast outlets.
Yeah, we're out there. We're trying to be out there. We're trying to keep up with pop culture cosmos. We're lagging far behind, but that's okay. We're coming.
No, you're not lagging far behind at all. It's like I said, it's just great to be a part of so many different great podcast outlets, and just great to have everyone listening in, both to your show and our show as well.
Amen, brother. It's great to have. Thank you so much. And you need to come on back to the underground sometime. We got more stuff to talk about, man. These Lakers are looking kind of interesting this year, huh?
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
But that's for another day, my friend. That is for another day. My friend TJ Johnson, I'll tell you what, it's just great to have you on always. It's just so happy to always hear from you, and just wishing you continued success, the show continued success, and just so happy to have you part of
Amen, brother. Thank you
the
so
pod.
much, man. Same thing to you.
Oh no, thank you, my friend, and it's just so great to have you a part of the pop culture cosmos.